Starbucks.
We got the announcement earlier today that Starbucks is doing a significant restructuring of its business plan, and that means they're going to be closing hundreds of shops and introducing another round of layoffs at its headquarters, of course, here in Seattle. The CEO, Brian Niccol, said that these changes are a part of a larger plan in which they are, quote, making good progress, but says there's much more to do to build a better, stronger, and more resilient Starbucks. In this letter to staff that he wrote today, he says, as we approach the beginning of our new fiscal year, I'm sharing 2 decisions we've made in support of our Back to Starbucks plan. Both are grounded in putting our resources closest to the customer so we can create great coffee houses, offer world-class customer service, and grow the business. About 1% of its locations will be closed. And we're talking about anywhere between today and the end of this month. And we already got the closure of the Starbucks Roastery in Seattle's Capitol Hill neighborhood. And while we obviously are not going to say that that's being closed specifically because of some sort of policy on the ground, like the crime crisis or the homelessness, I doubt they looked at all of these stores and said, yeah, we're going to keep this one that's under assault because of the crime and homelessness crisis, right? I have to assume it played a little bit of a role in that, just a little tiny bit. 2 employees, one named Cameron, the other one named Lewis, spoke with our sister station, KIRO News Radio, and they felt blindsided.
This morning at 8 a.m., they gave us an automated phone call that we do not have jobs. They're not transferring us any stores, and basically, good luck.
It feels a little unjust. Not even little. It just feels unjust. There was no real warning.
I understand that perspective. I understand that. I can't imagine, again, especially locally, the shops that have been closed. We're not just talking about this one. We're talking about, I believe there's one other local one that was closed today. But I imagine what didn't help is all of the activism from the employees who complain that they might have to open and close the next day or something, or in reverse. I imagine the complaining incessantly about having to wear a black shirt and slacks and not have face tattoos and piercings that are coming out of every body part connected with a chain to other piercings. It's probably annoyed Starbucks management just a little bit. And so perhaps they acted in a way that they otherwise would not have had it not been for your recalcitrant childish behavior. I agree, however, in a general sense, that you probably shouldn't make a phone call that's automated that says, you are no longer employed here. Press 1 to hang up. Press 2, well, we don't care because you no longer work here, and then they just hang up on you. Is that how it worked?
It's like, later.
Peace
out.
It could have been a text. That would have been, well, no, a text might have been better. Because you're convinced that you can convince yourself you're talking to a real person who texted you directly that morning instead of just some mass text that went out.
Although, I feel like that would also feel more spammy if it was a text.
Yeah, that's true. Although an automated message, I would have assumed is fake. I would have assumed it was some sort of scam.
Especially with the rise of AI.
Yeah, I would have not assumed that it was correct. Teresa is visiting from San Diego, and she also spoke with our sister station, KIRO News Radio, and said she's pretty bummed. It's been so hard to get a cup of Starbucks in Seattle, she claims, which is not true even today.
But this is ultimately disappointing. I have yet to have a cup of Starbucks, and we've been here for 3 days.
Okay, I'm going to let her finish in a moment. Number 1, don't worry, you're not missing out. Number 2, you've been here for 3 days. There's a Starbucks on every other street corner. What do you mean you haven't been able to find a cup of Starbucks here?
Put it in Google Maps.
This is not difficult. This is not difficult. Where she was interviewed, outside of this morning when they closed the roastery, go back to the last 3 days. Not only was she near one, she's near, I think, 7. Like there's one a few blocks away from where she's doing this interview in both directions, north, east and west.
Yeah, but she doesn't want that one.
I want this one. I want to go to this one.
Location we've been to, we've had a problem. And it's super unfortunate that they would do that to their employees after many years of service, I'm sure.
Well, actually, no, it sounds like they made the right move. You're telling me you went to all these different Starbucks and you had constant problems to the point where you couldn't even get a cup, and now you're saying we shouldn't fire people?
What does that even mean? We had a problem at
I went to a Starbucks and they ran out of coffee. I don't completely understand what it is she's trying to say here. In any case, number one, I don't like to see people losing jobs. Number two, I want to see local businesses thrive, even if I don't particularly like them as businesses. I'm not in love with Starbucks. I've made the point many times. I think, $4 for a cake pop is ludicrous, and it makes me want to stab someone with the little cake pop.
And you think
the cardboard piece.
And you think the only coffee there that's passable is the blonde roast?
It's the blonde roast or the blonde espresso is the only coffee that is not burnt tasting. For me, some people love Starbucks coffee. I do not. Ironically, the only coffee I would like from Starbucks outside of the blonde is if I were to go to the roastery, because they have not their normal traditional stuff. They have specialty beans that are like higher end. That stuff is really good. I've always actually really liked the roastery. It's a gorgeous location. The coffee is actually really good there. But again, it seems like part of what it is they're doing here in this restructuring is they're clearly paring down the menu. Clearly. They're still doing some of their specialty drinks that are seasonal and whatnot. But they've pared it down by cutting a bunch of menu items, including on the food side, and at least attempting to make their locations more inviting for people to go and sit down and have a cup of coffee, which is the complete opposite of the direction that they announced not that long ago. I mean, post-COVID, they didn't think anyone was coming back in, and so they really tried to double down on mobile ordering and even delivering. But that was a big failure. Ultimately, people are still looking to go into a coffee shop, especially business people who want to have a meeting with a candidate for a job that the person who currently holds doesn't realize they're going to be fired soon. And so you can't have that meeting on the campus or in the office. You got to go to a local Starbucks. Or, if you're looking to meet your side to action, you can't just bring people into the office. And so you still need a Starbucks. But ultimately I want Starbucks to succeed because it's good for the local economy. It's good for jobs, both locally and frankly, internationally. So 900 or so have been closed down or will be closed down. That's a lot. That's a lot. And a lot of people are going to lose their jobs. To the Starbucks, they, them who've got green hair and yell at anyone who comes in because they have to, the indignity of having to make a cup of coffee, those people can leave. I don't care about them. But everybody else, I do feel bad.